Hello and welcome to another episode of the Golden Hour Podcast, brought to you by the Teleprompter Studio. I'm your host, Dave Mays, and I'm here today with my guest, Lila, all the way in... Where do you live again?
The Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we're on a weird time zone difference here in Nashville. It's super early morning for me, and then it's like afternoon for you. But thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. By the way, it's almost 3 p.m. here, so...
There you go. That tells you how good I am at being on time, because it was supposed to be 2 o'clock when we started. You've been sitting there for an hour waiting for me to stop talking about myself and get everything set up here, but...
Oh, well, it's fine. I mean, the Dutch were very much on time, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
You were probably ready 30 minutes before the start time, right? So...
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out this whole setup, and then I realized that I don't have the converter, or I don't have 2 USB converters, so I was basically just wasting my own time.
It's totally fine, because I've been having issues with my Elgato Camlink thing with the new M1 Max. I don't know if it's my computer or software that has gotten wonky, but anyways, we're both actually using our new revolutionary MacBook M1 Max webcams 1080p for the first time on a MacBook, and it still looks like a potato.
It looks like poop. It looks really bad. It doesn't look like $5,000.
No. Why can't they do a good webcam? I don't understand. It's like
maybe that's what they meant with unrivaled. It's unrivaled and how would you say that? Unrivaledly bad? Is that even a word?
I've seen I feel like a lot of reviewers weren't honest about it. Like, yeah, the webcam's better. I mean, I don't even think it's better. I think it just looks equally as terrible as it's always looked. And it's got this awful, like, smoothing, like, plastic skin kind of effect on it, too. And you can't turn that off. It looks weird.
It looks weird, and I'm honestly a little bit insulted that we need it, right? Why aren't we good enough the way that we are? What is this, Apple?
Anyways, I set my MacBook on my tripod, so it's like far away from me here. But anyways, so yeah, that's one of the things I'd love to talk to you about. You're an editor, you're a creator, a YouTuber. You're on the M1 Max. I also just bought one, so we could talk about that. We could talk about your whole career as a creator and everything. But first, I want to talk about how we first met, which was at Vid Summit 2019, I guess.
I still have nightmares. I don't want to talk about it. So we met at Vid Summit in 2019 in LA.
Yeah.
And Dave, you came in. You were filming this parody, or which one was it?
Yeah. So first off, let it be known that I did not have a ticket to Vid Summit. I literally just showed up. So I wasn't even there.
Oh. And for the people who don't know what Vid Summit is, it's a yearly conference, right? Where creators and industry leaders or whatever, everyone comes together. There are a lot of talks.
It's more, it's like a more professional version of VidCon, which was always the most popular like YouTube conference. But Daryl Eves and now Mr. Beast kind of started it, and I think Mr. Beast owns it now. I think he bought it from Daryl. So.
Yeah, or at least part of it. But it's very inspiring and it's very informative. But for me, the best part is meeting other people, because usually YouTube is a very, in my opinion, lonely job, because I don't really have any fellow YouTubers around me. So I'm just like behind my desk all day, every day by myself. So going to a place like Vid Summit, where you meet other YouTube creators, and not just YouTube creators, but like people who are very passionate about doing YouTube full time and building businesses. That was very inspiring until I met Dave.
Yeah, so I don't think it, so I kind of forgot about this interaction until you reminded me. So that's a good example of how when something happens and you feel embarrassed, like, and then you bring it up and people are like, huh, what? No, I don't remember that, you know.
Yeah, it's like every time that I see Dave's name pop up on Twitter, I'm like, huh, don't want to be reminded of that.
So basically what happened was, it's not that big of a deal, but I think I was filming for the Gear Guy video that I was working on at the time. I ended up not using any of the footage because it didn't fit the tone of what I ended up making.
I mean, you could just say that it was just so badly filmed.
No, it wasn't. No.
You couldn't use it.
I think Sean Sean Cannell or Sean Cannell, the guy from Think Media Productions, was there, and I had him and Jevin Dovey, and I was just like dancing to the music, I think.
Yeah, so what happened was you walked in without a ticket, right?
Yeah.
And I overheard you say that, and I was standing nearby, and you said very specifically, which is why I still have nightmares about this, you said, it's so great to be at a place where everyone can film. I can just hand my camera to someone and they know how to film. And guess what happened? He handed me the camera to film this bit with Sean and with Jevin. And I didn't record the whole thing. Like, and then I hit the record button, and then I saw that I was recording, and I was like, crap.
It's totally fine.
That was very, very,
it was
very
ironic.
Embarrassing for me.
It was an ironic moment.
Yeah.
But nobody cared.
You're very nice about it. It's just one of those things, you know, you can make it such a big deal in your own head while the other person has already forgotten about it. And you're not like, oh, Lila, that loser, never talking to her again. While I could just be like, oh, Dave, he would never want to talk to me again after that.
No,
you know?
No. We don't. No, it's not. That's not how it works.
No, I know.
It's pretty cool that you flew all the way to LA to go to Vid Summit that year. That must have been an expensive journey to get out there.
Yeah, so I also didn't buy a ticket. I actually won a ticket. It's all like...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so when was it again? I think it was in September, October. I think, yeah, it was in October. And I only started my channel in June that year. So it was all pretty wild to go to LA just a few months. Like, I've never been in the US or I've never been anywhere in the US. So to go from just starting my channel without the intention of growing my channel, I just wanted to have like a little creative space where, you know, I knew a little bit about video editing that I wanted to share, and I wanted to make some vlogs and hopefully meet some other creatives that I could talk to, because like I said, I don't really have any fellow YouTubers or filmmakers around me. So that is why I started my channel, and I never had any intention of growing my channel. But then it kind of happened, and first I went to Belfast to Power of Video, and then I won tickets to LA, and I was like, okay, now I gotta go, you know. So I just I scraped together all the money that I could find and have, so I could I could get on a plane and I could go to LA. It's one of my fondest memories, and I cannot wait for it all to start again, because I miss it. I miss being around fellow creatives.
And I think a lot of people over the last 2 years have realized like how valuable those types of events were. And I look back on, you know, Vid Summit and CES and NAB and all those types of things very fondly, because it was like such a different time. We were so carefree, just going out, enjoying life, not worrying about anything. It was awesome. So hopefully things will be back to normal soon, but I've been saying that for 2 years now. So
I'm pretty sure this is normal now. No, but I really hope that those events can happen again, because I don't know, I miss it. Sometimes it gets really tough, you know, to be creating by yourself all the time, and it's just really nice to be around other creatives, and you can talk to people who actually get what you're doing and what you're saying. It's a whole thing that is very hard to explain, but yeah, YouTubers and creatives in general, they get it. So I cannot wait for those events to happen again.
So tell me about yourself and how you kind of got started into video in general. Have you been a professional creator before YouTube? Did it all kind of just happen at once? Like, tell me your journey as a creator.
Yeah, so as a kid, I've always been into storytelling, and first when I could write, I would write, like, I went to this musical group every Saturday, and we would practice, and we would have like a performance every, I don't know even when, but I was always into telling stories. So I'd write my own plays, and then I would invite my friends to act out those plays with me. And then when I got older, I got really into video and filming, but I never really pursued that. Because I had to choose the responsible route, take care of myself, all those things. And then about 3 years ago now, I thought, you know what, maybe I want to start a video production company. Like, I started editing a little bit here and there at this very ambitious idea to start a video production company without a lot of experience. But But I quickly realized as I was doing that, you know, when you start a video production company, you need to work for free. And every time that I created something for free, the clients didn't treat me as well as I would hope they would, or they would not really treat you with like the respect as when they pay you, they take you more seriously. I think that's where I'm getting at. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start a YouTube channel where I could have that creative outlet, and I can hopefully meet a few people who are also in this same, you know, who are also interested in video editing and making videos. And that is how I started my channel. But when it comes to video, it's just something that I've always, I don't know, something has always drawn me to, how do you say that? Motion pictures. Just moving pictures. It's always been,
yeah, motion pictures.
Yeah, it's always been something that I've just been
cinema.
It's cinema. Yeah. Yeah. No, so I guess I don't know where it came from. It was just something that I've always just telling stories through video format, and now being able to help other people tell their stories through video format. That's just, I don't know, I love it. It's my passion.
It's kind of fun. Well, that's a cool story, by the way. It is fun and ironic, sort of, that like when you become a YouTuber, especially in the niche that I previously was in and that you're in, you're making videos about making videos. So it's kind of like you're exercising those skills, but you're also just, I don't know, it's like you're teaching people how to do it.
Yeah.
But like the only thing that people are seeing is you making videos about making videos.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of silly, but
it's funny that you mentioned that, because I've been thinking about it a lot, because ever since I started my YouTube channel and my channel started growing, and you know, I got attention from brands and all that stuff, you know, you start doing what, like, I still like what I do. I still like making tutorials and all that, but you start doing these things that kind of keep you from being creative. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like I became, and this happens to a lot of YouTubers, you kind of become like the presenter instead of the creative, because you're not really making any creative stuff anymore, because you're just teaching other people how to make creative stuff. And I need to move back a little bit and be creative myself instead of just teaching and explaining other people how to do something.
Yeah, I think you see that a lot with a lot of creators. I feel like often are like, I'm kind of getting tired of this. Like Gerald Undone had a big like vlog where he was like, I don't know, guys. Like I'm always the guy reviewing the stuff. Like I don't know if I can just do this every day. And that's because humans are like creative people, and we're especially people who are literally creatives. It's hard to be put in a box and to be told you can only do this type of content. And there are people who thrive in that way. People with personalities that are maybe more business minded, who are thinking of it in a more business way. Like, I'm going to talk about this thing because it works and the analytics are telling me this and that. Like, I interviewed Matty Hopoya, and he seemed to be kind of more in line with that, where he's like, he literally said in my interview, YouTube is not an art form, it's a science. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but what if you're an artist?
Yeah, so, no, I totally get that.
And I think a lot of artists can relate, because it's common that you see that. I mean, Casey Neistat is like the ultimate example. He basically had one of the most successful YouTube channels on YouTube, and he could have gotten to a healthier place with it, where he's not posting every single day, maybe once a week or even 2 times a month. I would be happy with. But he's like, screw it, I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe he either was bored with it or tired of the system or whatever. I don't know what happened internally for him to basically stop being a YouTuber. But he was so famous and so successful, it's almost like he still is a YouTuber. Nobody is calling him not a YouTuber. And I think he'll probably continue to make stuff over the next couple of years, I would assume. But
yeah, I mean, now he even has a course where he can learn how to vlog the way that he vlogs, right? So he's still doing it. But yeah, he took a long break. Just with YouTube, it's the never-ending discussion that I have with myself and my friends is just basically what Maddie said about it's a science. Like, you can niche down and you can thrive and you can get all of the results, because that is the way to get results, right? Like, focus on the M1 Max, really milk it, only talk about it, people will love it, you'll get thousands and thousands of subscribers, that's the way to go. But then my heart becomes very unhappy when I do that, and it's just this constant thing where you're like, yeah, but I want to do what I want to do, but at the same time it is also kind of a business, you know? And for creators like myself who aren't like, I mean, I'm getting there, but I'm not like as established to a point where I could just peace out for a year and just do whatever because the money is coming in. Like, those are all decisions that you have to make all the time, which is, I think, something that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about, because I think a lot of people are kind of like glamorizing being a YouTuber. They want to be a YouTuber, and it's the best thing ever. I'm not complaining at all, but I do think that there is more to being one.
Sorry, I've been going off. I've been muting myself when you talk because my son just woke up. He's 2 years old and he's making a lot of noises. So when you talk, I mute it. So that's why there's a little bit of a pause there. But you're so right. And I don't know. I think there's a healthy balance with everything. And one of the things that I've enjoyed this last year, it seems like it's been a common thing that a lot of creators have been saying on the high end, like Mr. Beast in particular. You really want to optimize for humans, not the algorithm, and rethink the whole idea of like optimizing for the algorithm and just replace the word algorithm with humans, and think about your titles and your topics and things in the way that you would want things to, how you would naturally as a consumer consume things and respond to things. Because at the end of the day, the people clicking on the videos are not robots, they are people. So
true.
And people understand that not everything's the same and not everybody's the same. So, you know, if you switch it up and maybe the views aren't as high as doing an M1 Max video, but your core fan base ends up seeing it and loving it, you know, that's still like the we talked about this before we recorded, but the parodies that I did not perform the way that I was hoping. But I only made like 2 really, and I didn't really give it like a fair shot. I could have, if I did one every single month over the next like couple years, maybe eventually they would have grown and worked. But even then, like a review gets 100,000 views or more, but the like music video got like 20-30,000, which was decent, but it wasn't like going viral by any means. But that's one of the things that people bring up all the time is like, I saw your parody, it was awesome. It's like, oh, well, you're one of the 20,000 people that saw it, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But
do you know this guy Sam Newton? I just looked him up. He has
course.
a few parodies. I think you can call them parodies, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not really parodies, they're like just songs that he wrote. Yeah,
but there is like the one with Peter McKinnon. Is that, I don't know what the proper word for it is. I would say, as a non-English, or like, it's not my mother tongue, so I would say it's a parody because it's like a funny kind of song, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think, I guess, I think a parody is taking a known song and then making a parody of it, meaning
okay.
Like I took Bad Guy by Billie Eilish and made a parody called Gear Guy.
True.
But
thanks for the lesson. Learned something new today.
It's like comedy music though, for sure. And he's like a legit, like musician. I'm a musician too, but like not at that level.
Okay, so Sam, if you're listening to this, I didn't mean to insult you. I'm just blaming my vocabulary.
I'd love to have him on and talk to him about it. But my whole debacle is like the niche that we're in is like smaller than I like. Like I don't know. I'm like, it's cool. Like Sam you spend all this time on the production and making it look really good because the audience is a bunch of professional filmmakers and photographers. So like, if it's not lit well and if the audio isn't good, then people won't take you seriously, because it's like you have to be good enough for everybody to kind of be like, oh yeah, the lighting's great, the color grading looks great, the editing's great. But like you go to any other niche on YouTube and the barrier of entry is like so much lower in terms of like the production quality, which means you can make more content, which means you can like, you don't have to focus on all those things. I mean, Casey Neistat didn't necessarily light things and shoot on the best camera, but his storytelling was like epic and amazing. So that's a good example of it. And McKinnon obviously blew up, but his numbers are getting like going way down. Like he's got 5 million subs and he's getting like 100,000 views on videos, which in my opinion is like not working. So he's gonna have to change something. But
I haven't looked at his channel in a while. Like I haven't looked at the numbers or anything, so I have no idea where he's at. But I think that when it comes to YouTube, there is always like ebbs and flows. So sometimes it's doing better and other times it isn't. And I think that especially when it comes to, honestly, I have a lot of respect for people who have been in the game longer. I mean, Peter, I don't know how long he's been in the game, but to stay relevant and to continue to get views and to continue to like get all of these subscribers, I think that that is probably like a skill by itself
100%.
To stay relevant, you know? That's really...
Absolutely. I don't mean to put that down at all. I'm just being analytical and seeing that. Yeah, I think you're right. The trend, like of the gear review kind of boom, if you will, I feel like was during the McKinnon rise. Yeah, and the B-roll. Casey Neistat, and that's right when I started. And I feel lucky to be in that kind of time period, because if I were to have started now, there's no way. I don't want to say no way, but it's definitely not the same, because when I started Kinotika 4 years ago, there weren't as many people doing it, and I felt like it was a good advantage. But times change. I feel like I've become like an old fart at this point, because like I feel like people would have said the same thing 4 years ago too, like things are different, it's not how it used to be. That's how life is. But
I mean, I feel like when it comes to Peter McKinnon, he really blew up. There is no way to continue that, you know. It's going to slow down at some point. And I think that era with the B-roll and the gear reviews, I feel like we're kind of past that. I mean, you see the same with a friend of mine, Peter Lindgren. He really blew up because of the B-roll. Oh, cool.
Wait, am I? Wait.
Am I friends with him? What?
I was thinking of Sam, Sam.
It's a Swedish guy. Peter Lindgren.
Yeah. I know who he is.
Okay. So he really blew up because of the B-roll stuff, right? But now the whole B-roll thing is kind of over. So now it's time to reinvent yourself. And what's the next best thing? Like, I don't know, to be honest. Like, I haven't really watched anything with it inside our niche lately, which is kind of bad, but it is what it is.
I think people are needing to like learn deeper stuff, like storytelling and editing, and that's really where your channel comes in, I think, because you do focus on editing and more than just the gear, and going into topics that are actually like beneficial and helpful to people who are making a living.
True. Who I love when it comes to that stuff is Hayden Hillier-Smith. Yeah. He is the king when it comes to that stuff. Like, his stuff is, every time that I watch it, like I watched his, I got his workshop. I don't even remember when that was. Like, I don't have any sense of time anymore, but I watched his workshop as well. And it's so inspiring to see him break down one of his own edits. But yeah, I think that I do think that there is, in general, I do see kind of a movement towards more storytelling and more experience rather than just the gear. And I mean, I noticed that with myself as well, because a few years ago when, you know, the whole B-roll thing was hot, I was interested in that as well. But now I don't really watch anything inside my niche. When it comes to my own vlogs, I like raw vlogs. I like nothing that is too edited when it comes to vlogs. I just like to experience and just chill and just experience the story. And I feel like that is where a lot of people are heading. You see a lot of people starting, myself included, a vlog channel, you know, and they start vlogging more, and there seems to be an interest in that as well. So it's very interesting to see where we're heading.
You started a vlog channel?
Yeah, I did. It's kind of on a DL, but I did.
Okay. What's it called?
It's called Lila's Life. I don't know if you can find it. I only have like less than 300 subscribers.
I went to your channel and went to channels. You know,
is it there?
It's not there. No.
Oh, okay, good.
Because like I said, you don't want it to.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. If people want to find it, they can find it. But I am not like uber promoting it.
Okay.
Because it's just
you're still working on it.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, I don't really need it to grow. It's just really my playground where I can just create whatever I want, and I can play around with vlog formats, and just if I want to upload a video of my cat, I'll do that, you know? So it's not necessarily something that I need to promote, but I'm welcoming everyone who's interested in that. Or there's just one rule, and that is that it's my playground, and if you don't like my videos, you can just leave. You can just go to my main channel.
Yeah, totally. So Lila's life.
Yeah, cool. I can send you the link if you want to see it.
Yeah, totally. And by the way, congratulations! You're almost at 100,000 subscribers. You're almost there. So if you haven't subscribed to Lila, go over to youtube.com/Lila from YouTube, and you can subscribe. By the way, I love that kind of like handle and stuff. I've always I literally, when I think of your name, like I associate it with your username, which is, oh yeah, it's Lila from YouTube. Oh,
that's such a branding disaster though, because I never intended to be Lila from YouTube, and now everyone calls me that, so I'm kind of going by it. But it was this whole thing, because on YouTube I'm called Lila, and then on social media I thought it would be super smart to be Lila from YouTube, you know, Lila, the one from YouTube. But now everyone on YouTube, everywhere, everyone calls me Lila from YouTube. So I just accepted it. It's my thing now.
So let's talk about the M1 Max, because that's we tried to get you on the podcast before, and I don't remember what happened, but as you can tell, I'm kind of all over the place. So I think a lot of things were going on at the time. But I was reminded to get you on the show when I was looking around for M1 Max reviews and videos, and yours popped up about the 16-inch for travel, too big for travel, and stuff like that. And I really loved the video. And I also have a 16-inch MacBook Pro M1 Max or whatever. How has your kind of experience been with it? Obviously, the webcam isn't the best, but overall, how have you enjoyed it coming from whatever you had previously?
So previously, I edited on a PC. It's a $800 custom build PC, so it's nothing too fancy, but it did the job for me. So I desperately needed a laptop, because I was like, I am going nuts at my desk all day, every day. I need to be able to move a little bit. Also, when I go on trips, for example, I went on a trip with Epidemic to Sweden. I want to be able to edit there as well, you know? So I was waiting for this MacBook for an entire year, because I had this, like, I am not really I mean, I said that I'm not really an Apple sheep, but if you see all the Apple products that I have now, I definitely am. But I love everything about this MacBook, to be honest. I don't think that at this moment I have any complaint. Like, the battery life is crazy. When I edit a video, I can edit for 6 hours on maximum brightness while listening to Spotify or being on Chrome. It's insane. What do you think about
That's
it?
Awesome. I love it. I've been on Apple Silicon for a year now with the M1 Mac Mini. I bought that last year. So it's not as much of like a crazy shift overall, because I've been using Apple Silicon. The big difference is obviously going from a Mac Mini to a MacBook, also similar to you. It's like I need a portable machine. I love having the SD card slot. I think I overbought. I bought more than I needed, to be honest.
What did you get?
I've talked about it on Twitter a little bit. I maxed it out. So I got the top end M1 Max. Like the day it came out, my cousins ordered it. And now that I'm going free, the people I've been working with full time, they bought it. So like, I'm not gonna argue with them because they paid for it. But now that I'm going freelance in February, which they weren't aware of at the time when we ordered it, well, they kind of knew that I may be going freelance, and they were like, well, we'll just sell it to you when you go freelance. So now I'm buying it from them.
I really want to say something.
So basically, I maxed it out. I got 64 gigs of RAM. I got the top end M1 Max processor and 4 terabytes of storage. I love having 4 terabytes of storage. I literally have only 600 gigs free because I've used over 3 terabytes already since I got it. So
nice.
I don't want to skimp on that because it's been huge for me to be able to work off of the computer with the super fast drive speed. But anyways, I wish I kind of basically just got a base model with like 4 terabytes and that's it. But now if you were to order that, it's going to take till March to get it. So
yeah, it's crazy. I got mine. So the thing that I wanted to say is that you got a maxed out MacBook in silver.
Yes, that's the thing that it's like when you see somebody, I guess it's kind of a nice kind of like underground, like, oh, he has a silver computer, he must not be a professional. It's like, no, it's maxed out, like it's totally specced out.
Well, maybe they won't steal it. Maybe they're just like, oh, we don't want the silver one, you can keep it. That's
actually a great idea for a video. It's like a conversation, like I show up to a job and I have this silver computer and like, oh, is that powerful enough for what we're working on? I'm like, what do you mean? It's the MacBook Pro, the new one. It's like, yeah, but it's silver.
That would be like, you have to do that.
It's completely maxed out. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, that's impossible. You can't have a maxed out silver MacBook.
Yeah, but it's silver.
Yeah.
That would be so funny. You have to make that.
Okay. I can make that. That's like a TikTok video. That could happen.
That would be so good. You're really good at that stuff, so you should definitely make that.
Oh, thanks.
But
much
yeah,
affirmation.
I'm sorry. What were we talking about earlier? Now I
so yeah, I
forgot.
mean, you're using an inferior program, Adobe Premiere, so you have to have a computer that can handle it, because in the past, Apple computers weren't the best at Premiere. So I'm just joking. Of course I'm joking.
I know.
As a Final Cut user, I can joke.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, I think a lot of Adobe users were curious about Apple Silicon because it's obviously not as optimized as like Resolve and Final Cut. But it's getting like much better. They've been continuing to update it. I think Premiere now runs native on the Silicon chip, right? So it's definitely a lot better than it was last year when the switch happened. How's your performance been in Premiere and with all the stuff that you use?
Yeah, no, so for me, it's been really good. I know that Adobe, they work really closely with Apple as well. So they've been working on this integration before this laptop came out. And I personally, I haven't had any, like, I have been mind blown when I'm using Premiere Pro. I do not have any issues, which is great because I can do things that of course, like I had a $800 custom built PC, so you know the comparison isn't really that fair because this thing is way too expensive. But I can do everything without dropping frames, or it's just, I don't know. It just plays back. It does everything. Like even with when I add effects or when I'm like on my PC, I couldn't really do any dynamic linking between After Effects and Premiere, you know, and now I can do everything and it just runs smoothly. So far I'm very happy with it. But I've heard a lot of stories before this MacBook came out about the original M1 chip, I think it's called. What is it called? Yeah,
the M1.
It was a disaster. But now, I don't know. I think that they were on time this time. They were on top of it.
Yeah, they had a whole year to work on it, you know, because it's the same architecture as the M1. So over the last year, they've been optimizing it. And now when the Pro chip came out with the M1 Pro and the M1 Max, that's great. And by the way, I hate the name is awful. The M1 Max. It's like I'm saying multiple Macintosh computers with an M1 chip. Basically, it's like M1 MACS, M1 Max. Like last year, a bunch of M1 Max came out, but then this year, the M1 Max came out. It's awful. Why did they?
Yeah, I get it.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. I mean, that goes for a lot of tech, right? A lot of tech has very unsexy names.
I think I've been like obsessed thinking about Xbox. Like Microsoft has the worst naming ever for Xbox. Like the original Xbox and then Xbox 360. That was kind of a cool name.
Yeah.
But
what is it now?
Then it went to the Xbox One, which doesn't make any sense because the Xbox One technically was the first Xbox, and then there's the One S and then the One X, and then so S and X already existed with the One, and then now the brand new one is the Xbox Series X and the Series S. So it's like, why don't you just go? I know, it doesn't make any sense.
No, but I mean, imagine if you have the M1 Pro MacBook Pro. That doesn't, like the M1 Max MacBook Pro is a little bit easier to say than the M1 Pro MacBook Pro.
I think they were, like the rumors before before the announcement, everybody was calling it the M1X, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have the MacBook Pro with the M1X chip in it? Like, that sounds awesome. Why didn't they do that?
Yeah, I don't know. How would you call the M1 Pro chip then? The M1P?
Yeah, you could do P. You could just forget naming it. Forget naming it two different things. Just have multiple tiers and just call it the M1X. It's like, you know, you have the base model of that, and because it is the same. It's just whatever. I don't want to get it on. We have no control over this, and like. Yeah, they spend tons of money on marketing, and they've figured out that this works, I guess.
They're really good at marketing. They are like.
Do you remember when the iPad came out? I thought that was the dumbest name for iPad. It was supposed to be iTablet, I think is what everybody thought it was.
Oh well, iPad is a lot better than iTablet, right?
But like SNL made a joke about it because it's like pad. People before iPad thought of it like, you know, women products.
Oh, like, yeah.
So SNL did a whole like spoof of that. So the iPad.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about it like that. That's so funny. I need to see that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I've never watched an Apple event in my life except for the one where this one was announced, and because I'm not really like, I only got an iPhone for the first time this year. It seems to be way more of a thing in the US where everyone has an iPhone, but here having an iPhone is not that common.
Okay,
like a lot of people.
That's a healthier system because then you don't have the iMessage blue and green bubble shaming going on.
What is that about? That's so.
It's like a new trend right now. It's trending on Twitter and stuff. Basically. I mean, it hasn't been a problem. People have always just known this forever, but like, yeah, I mean, the iMessage is the #1 messaging app in America,
and everywhere WhatsApp. Else. Yeah, but everywhere else in the world, it's WhatsApp. Like, I know,
and that would be a better solution, honestly, because it's on the web and like it's completely, you know, it doesn't matter what phone you have, it's all the same.
Yeah.
You know. But,
there's this weird thing. Ever since I got an iPhone, people would welcome me to this blue bubble club, and I was like, okay. It's a whole
like
thing.
A group
it's
chat?
Like, yeah, no, like they would actually on Twitter, they would congratulate
welcome to the blue bubble club. Yeah, because it's a mental thing. I think that would be an interesting like video essay for somebody to make. But unfortunately, it really has problems in high school. Because it's true. Like, if you're a kid in America and like you're a part of a group text and you have an Android, you basically ruin it for the whole group. Like, if there's like 6 people that have iPhones and then there's a 7th person with an Android, because that one person has an Android, now the whole thing is SMS only and it's not, you know, MMS, which means you can't do the thumbs up, you can't send like Bitmojis. Like, the green bubble basically ruins it for everybody. So there's become this social shaming almost of like, oh man, get so and so out of this group because he's ruining the group text, you know.
How privileged is that, right? We can shame other people for not having iPhones. Like, what world do we live in? That's wild.
But the funny thing too is like, you could be on an expensive Android that's more than an iPhone SE, you know, like the iPhone SE is like $299 or whatever. So like you could be using a cheap iPhone and still be a part of the club. But yeah, it's interesting. And you know, it would be cool if Apple made an iMessage app for Android, that would be awesome. But they're not going to do that.
Would Apple people actually, like, I've been thinking about that. Would Apple people actually?
That'd be awesome.
You do? I mean, I don't mind either.
I would probably switch to
one of those things that I feel like.
I'd probably switch to a Pixel if it did.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're still on iPhone because of the iMessage thing?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that are like, seriously, you have an Android, you're ruining the group chat. Let's get like, my solution isn't like, go away, I don't want to be your friend. It's like, okay, if you know, I would love for you to be a part of a group. Let's think about our other solutions like WhatsApp, or, you know, let's just take this to Instagram DM or whatever. Like, it's just a way better it's a way better experience using a web-based messaging system. It's faster, you get all the emojis, you get all the interesting, you know, there's a lot of reasons why using SMS, like traditional texting, is like, I feel like it's dead in the water now. Like, nobody uses it anymore unless it's an emergency or something. But anyways, that's kind of what's going on. And for some reason, it's like in the news now. It's become like a trending topic again, even though it's been known for years. And I've heard, like, this never obviously happened to me because it was a little before my time when I was dating my wife and stuff. You know, it didn't matter. But I've heard that it's been an issue for like people in the dating scene. It's like, if you give your number to a girl and then you have an Android and they see you have a green bubble, like it's like a social issue too, like from a dating perspective.
But here's the question: would you want to date someone who judges you because you have an Android phone?
Yeah,
like, come on.
Stupid.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I'm asking. Like, would Apple people actually be down with having iMessage available to Android users? Because I also feel like it's kind of like a status thing with Apple users, you know? So they don't just want everything to be accessible to everyone.
Well, those people that you're talking about, they suck. Like, I don't want. That's not the. Of course, I would love iMessage on Android. I personally, and I think a lot of other reasonable people would say that as well. But it's obvious that it is a selling feature of the iPhone, so I don't think they're going to get rid of it. And also, same for Mac.
AirDrop?
Same for Mac though. Like, the argument could be made for PC. Like, they should make an iMessage app for Windows as well. Yeah. But again, that's another reason. It's like, why do you work on a Mac? Well, for me, I also use Final Cut, so I have no other option. Yeah. But it's like, I use Final Cut, I love AirDrop and iMessage. So it's like, those are like very crucial things, and there's no software limitation keeping them from making iMessage and AirDrop on Android or PC. So
yeah, that's why I went with the Apple ecosystem, because like I said, I've always had Android phones. I've always had PCs or like regular Windows laptops. But for my creativity, I wanted something like, I wanted a workflow that just works. And I don't want any cables or anything. So the MacBook with the iPhone with the AirDrop is just, it's magic. It's the best thing that I've ever experienced. And it helps so much, especially with a MacBook. You usually use it on the go, right? I mean, right now, ever since I got this MacBook, I haven't used my PC anymore, but you use your MacBook on the go or while you're anywhere else. So just being able to AirDrop things to your MacBook and vice versa is totally a game changer. It's one of the main reasons why I moved to the Apple ecosystem.
I wish Apple would make a USB-C iPhone so that the transfer would be faster. That's one of the reasons why I didn't upgrade this year to the 13 Pro or whatever. I love the fact that they're doing ProRes now on it. That's incredible. But it's like, it seems like it's really, really slow over the USB 2 speed on the Lightning cable, and then obviously AirDrop isn't as fast either. So that's, I hope that they'll change that with the Pro model in the future.
What do you think of what do you think of the bokeh on the 13?
So my wife just got the 13, like the normal 13, not the Pro. Verizon was doing a deal for Christmas. It was great. It was like, she had a 10s Max, which is like a 3 or 4 year old phone now, and it's only worth like $400 normally, but they gave us $800 for it, which is crazy. It was like a special they were doing. So I was like, we got to jump on this. So they gave us $800 for that, and then we put that towards the 13, which meant we didn't have to pay anything, which was great. So anyways, we got the phone. I started playing with it, and I was pretty surprised with how effective it is. It's obviously not a real camera, and it's going to have holes in it. But for what it's going to be used for, which is social media and like normal people filming their kids, like it's totally great.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ready for pro use yet necessarily, but I could see myself using it for B-roll of products in particular. I find that it works well with things that aren't humans actually pretty well. So like,
yeah, when the edges are more defined than with, because that's what, like, every time that I see someone film an Instagram story with the, I don't know if it's called like the cinematic mode or whatever, but the like
cinematic
with the
mode, yeah.
It's the word. It's very. You can really see that. You can really see that it's fake. But I think that with products, when the edges are more defined, maybe the software has an easier time with it. But when it comes to people, it just don't, please.
Maybe it's also a combination of that and the fact that as humans, we really pick out imperfections in humans' faces because we have, evolved in whatever way to like recognize humans in such a clear and defined way compared to objects. I don't know. You're getting very sciencey right now. I don't know. I'm a creator. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But yeah, could be. Who knows? So what are your specs on your computer? What's what's all the
of my MacBook?
Yeah.
I have the M1 Max with the 64 gigabytes of unified RAM and 2 terabytes of storage.
There you go.
Yeah.
So is that the top end Max or the like? There's 2 levels of Max. There's
that I didn't even know.
And the second level.
This is going to sound very spoiled, but I actually saved up for an entire year. But I didn't even know that there were 2. I just went for the most expensive one. I was just like, this is the one.
Okay, so we have the same computer except mine's silver and inferior.
Yeah. Don't even compare yours with mine, okay? Yours is silver. Yeah, no, so the thing was, I was watching the Apple event and I got so nervous because they said pre-orders start right now or whatever, and I was like, oh my god. So I already talked to some of the Apple tech reviewers and I was like, how does this work? How does the pre-order work? Do I go on their website? Do I go on the Apple Store app? And what do I do? So they told me to go on the Apple Store app. So I went on the app crashed. I was like, okay, on my iPad, tried it on my iPad, the app crashed. I was like,
oh no.
I was like, shit. Oh, sorry. I was like,
it's okay.
Poop. I need this MacBook. So then I finally, after like 10 minutes, I finally was able to order it. Like, I didn't even look. I knew that I needed to get the best one. And with Apple, that's always the most expensive one. And the reason, like, it's a lot of money that I spend on it, but the way that I'm looking at it is that I'm not going to upgrade next year. This is a MacBook that needs to work for me for like 5 years, and I think that right now it is definitely how do you say that? It's definitely more than I need. But if I'm gonna upgrade to the Sony A7S III, for example, or another camera or whatever, I want to make sure that this MacBook can keep up for the next few years.
That's a good point. Like I was saying earlier, because I didn't pay for it and my cousins have a lot of money, I was like, just max it out, like just click it all the way up, all the way down. And even with the storage, I personally probably would have done 2 terabytes just like you did. But he was like, oh, it's only $1,200 more for 4 terabytes. I'm like, okay.
Only?
Yeah.
Okay. He must have a lot of money.
He was like, you'll use this, right? I'm like, oh yeah, of course I'll use it. But like, if it were me, I wouldn't do that, just save the money. But that being said, like, I don't know, I'll probably keep it. But again, it's silver. I don't want a silver laptop for 4 years.
I know. But why the silver? What was the decision? Why did he not just go for the?
You went to their website, right? amyandjordan.com.
Yes.
So can you understand how like bright and airy and like
pretty
everything is?
Your gear doesn't need to be bright and pretty. It needs. to be
I know, but
pretty.
it's
Our
their
pretty.
it's their business computer, and the way they were looking at it was eventually she would get this computer if I were to change or get my own computer in the future or whatever. So they were buying it with the idea that like at some point Amy's going to use it, and she preferred a silver one because
That makes sense.
She's always had silver and it looks better with their branding.
And now here we are. Dave
here
with
we
the
are.
silver
I'm buying
MacBook.
it with a silver MacBook.
Yeah,
I should change my. You're Lila from YouTube. I'm Dave with the silver MacBook.
Yes, that's so great. Yeah, no,
So-
but I got the 2 terabytes because first of all, $1,200 is a big upgrade in my opinion, and also this is like a MacBook that I'm planning to use on trips, or like I said, I'm using it all the time now. But whenever I'm done, so I edit everything locally, and then when I'm done, I just move all the files and the projects
Delete
to
it?
an external hard drive. No, I cannot delete it. Oh, do you delete your raw files when it comes to making videos?
Obviously, for client work, anything that I'm being hired to do as a freelance person, whether it's a promo, a wedding, or whatever, obviously that I never delete that. You have to back it up. Like I back all that stuff up. I've always done that. Archive it, whatever. When I became a YouTuber, because I was making with Kinotika at the height of that, like we were doing 2 videos a week, shooting 4K 10-bit and all that. I was literally just like one after another, and those videos were very disposable. Honestly, it was like talking about news or rumors or stuff like that. And I was like, I don't need to keep this. I'm never gonna access this. So I ended up just deleting the raw files after I uploaded it, and I would just keep the export and the thumbnail. So like I would save like the PSD of the thumbnail and then the exported video. And I found even if I was referencing an older video, even though I had those export files, I would still just rip it from YouTube on Chrome, and because it was like faster than me like looking for my hard drive.
Yeah.
So and anytime I would reference other videos and like pull B-roll from other videos, I would literally just use it from the export. So I never saw it as a need to save that stuff. I know a lot of other creators completely disagree with me and save everything, but
for me it just, I don't think that I've ever used, sometimes like for editing tutorials I would go back in and just look for some B-roll that I shot a while ago, but when it comes to like the talking head stuff, I've never gone back and used the raw files. However, it gives me a lot of anxiety to not have that. So I just have a lot of external hard drives that I never even look on, just because I am a hoarder. I wish I could do what you do, because I think it's way more cost effective as well. You're never going to look at it again.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're talking about shooting in 4K and like, I was doing ProRes for a while with the Atomos, and it's just like, hundreds and hundreds of gigs for, like I would use up, 150, 200 gigs for a video, and it starts to add up if you're doing 2 of those a week.
Yeah.
So, but with my cousins now, we buy like a 14 terabyte. We buy 2 14 terabyte drives or whatever, and I just mirror those, and I keep everything archived on that. And then I'm using my laptop as a project drive. I used to always keep a like a little SSD, like a 1 terabyte or something, as my like working drive, but now because I've got the 4 terabyte, and in your case you got the 2, which is plenty as well, like I think it's a great idea on these newer machines to spend a little extra, get a little bit more storage, because it's just so much more convenient to use your actual internal hard drive as your like working drive, not only because you don't have to plug anything into it, and I love the idea of just like taking my laptop with nothing and just sitting on the couch and like editing with no hard drives plugged in. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Then obviously the drives are just so freaking fast now. Like you can't buy a drive that's that fast for an affordable price. So it's worth it.
Oh my God. I did a thing. The video that you mentioned about is the M1 Max MacBook Pro 16-inch, is it too big for traveling? I said something in that video, which I after realized was a mistake. I didn't know that. I thought that I bought an SSD LaCie drive, and I was like, oh, it takes me 1 hour to transfer 500 gigabytes, and I was so proud of it because on my PC it would take longer. And then all the comments started getting in, and they were coming in, and they were all like, an hour? That's not it's a little bit at the end of it. But like I was like, or everyone said to me that an hour was actually way too long. It should be transferred in minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, well. You mean you're using the SSD? Yeah, no, I thought so.
USB?
I thought I bought an SSD, but apparently I bought just an external hard drive, which I didn't know. I thought I bought the good LaCie drive, the SSD, but I didn't. So I don't know. I said something really dumb in that video, but it is what it is.
You took it on the plane, and
yes.
You used it.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it actually too big for travel?
Depends. In my opinion, no.
I've been using 15-inch laptops my whole career, so it doesn't seem big. This particular model seems bigger than ever because of the giant like bezel-less display. And it's kind of thicker than the older ones, so it's heavier too. Which is those are all good things. Like I'm not complaining, but
the thing is I don't think for me it's not too big because at least I understand if you have like a 10 or 12 hour flight, like next time I come to LA, for example, it might be a little bit big, especially when you fly economy, because you have to sit a little bit like this because you don't want to bother the people next to you. But overall, like I'm using this everywhere, like in offices or hotel rooms, and I need all the real estate when it comes to making screen estate. Like when I'm editing videos, I need the biggest screen that I can get, and for me it is not worth it's not downgrading because the 14-inch is also really good, but like the size, downgrading in size,
downsizing,
thank you. So it's not worth downsizing for me because yes, the laptop is a little bit heavy, but then when you put it in a bag you barely feel it, it's not that heavy. So I don't think it's too big. But it depends. If you're a video editor, no, it's not too big. If you're not a video editor, you're just like more like a casual, I don't know, you have a casual corporate job and you fly a lot, then maybe the 14-inch is better.
If you have a casual corporate job and you're not doing video editing, you shouldn't be buying these versions. Honestly, you should be buying the Air or something. But
fair enough.
But ironically, there are plenty of like wealthy business people who do buy these just because it's like, I want the best.
Dude, I was when I ordered my MacBook and everything was crashing because so many people were ordering it, I was like, how are there so many people who are ordering this right now? How is that even possible? Like this MacBook is like top of the line. I can guarantee that most of those people don't need it,
Well, like you said though, this particular computer has been like, everybody's been waiting for this model, the actual pro laptops. So you have a lot of professional people who have been saving their money like you did and just waiting for the moment. And so when it was live, it was like the floodgates were unleashed. So if you're listening to this and you're still using an Intel based MacBook Pro and you're a MacBook Pro user, and you have the means to do this, I would highly recommend placing an order. It's going to take a while to get it, as of right now. Because Lila and I bought this like sight unseen, like the day it came out, and we didn't see the reviews. I just went ahead and maxed it out, and I think I'm going to just go ahead and keep it because it's going to last me several years. But if I were to do it over again, I honestly may not have even got the max. I may have just got the baseline MacBook Pro 16-inch because I agree, I like the larger screen size. Even though I've gone back and forth on Twitter, I was like, I don't know, maybe I should get the 14, but I now actually think I'm just gonna go ahead and I like this bigger screen size. I would get the base model with like at least 2 terabytes of storage, because the way that I use it with Final Cut and even with Premiere, I've heard too, like the baseline MacBook Pro M1 Pro is still like kicking butt, and it works really well with almost everything. The software is working great. It's still like twice as good as the M1 Max from last year, and those are already great. So don't like get all wrapped up in the fact that you have to spend a ton of money and go to the M1 Max and like get all the RAM. I think that's the other thing too, is like RAM does not matter as much as we thought either. Like based on the reviews that I've seen from Max Yuryev, he has a Max Tech is his channel, I think. Yuryev, I don't know how to say his last name, but he's basically recommending the same thing, like get the baseline RAM. You don't need to max out your RAM, just get 16 gigs of RAM. You can get the M1 Pro and probably be fine. If you want to go up to the M1 Max, don't go all the way up, just get the first level, because you save like $200 by not going all the way up. And then same with the M1 Max, like you do jump to 32 gigs of RAM, but just stay there, don't upgrade it. So that's my recommendation, is get a space gray computer so you don't feel like a loser. Get the 16-inch baseline. If you need a little bit more juice, go ahead and go to the Max, but keep it all baseline, 32 gigs of RAM with the like first tier M1 Max.
You know what's interesting? You said that there are two M1 Max MacBooks, right? And I said that that I didn't even look. I just ordered the most expensive one. But I'm looking on the Apple website now, the Dutch Apple website, and we only have one M1 Max. We don't.
Really?
We have two M1 Pros and one M1 Max.
Oh no! Hit select, and then once you start configuring it, you have.
Let's see.
Or go to the
no.
M1
I can
Max
only choose the RAM and the storage.
So go back. Go back to that page with the 3. Here,
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing this and not sharing it. If you're watching the video, you can see it.
This is so not interesting to anyone who's listening. I'm sorry.
So, no, it's fine. So yeah, if you go to this one, the M1 Pro, and you select that one, and then you're given the option. There's these two options here.
But why would you? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you click on the Pro to then choose the Max?
To get this cheaper Max here, and then you don't.
That is such a life hack. I had no idea.
I think this top end one, the $3,500 one, is already the top end Max. So you select the middle option, you go up to the M1 Max. The difference is you're getting 24 core GPU rather than 32 core. You save $200.
Yeah.
And then you stay with the 32 gigs of RAM. You don't need more. Based on the reviews, there's so much SSD swapping going on, and the apps are so optimized, you don't need as much. So that saves you $400. So you're already saving $600 by not going all the way up. And then go to 2 terabytes if you really want to. So that's 36 rather than what I spent, which was 48.
Well, I think I spent that much in euros, which is way more expensive. Let's see, I spend.
Sure.
Yeah, so I spend 4,769 euros, which is euro to dollars, which is 5,399. So that's like
a ton of money. Did you?
$400
You actually had
more.
So you were responsible and you saved up your money. You didn't like go into debt with this?
No. I never go into debt with anything. Like right now, I'm still. I mean, it helps that the Sony A7S III isn't in stock anywhere in the Netherlands, but
it's not in stock anywer here either.
Oh, really? So it's just not in stock. Well, I mean that helps, but even if it was in stock, I wouldn't buy it right now because I need to spend some money on other things first. But yeah, no, it's at least I feel a little bit less stupid because there's only one M1 Max on the page. I thought there were two, and I just went for the most expensive one. But
you're not.
That is such a life hack. I didn't know that you could get an M1 chip that's cheap. Nice.
Well, cool. Again, I would rest easy because you did spend more money, but you saved up your money. You were responsible, and it will last you. Like,
yes,
it's not like those extra cores aren't being used necessarily. Like, it's good to have it. So
yeah,
like, it'll last you 4 or 5 years, hopefully.
Yeah, and
more,
I think that
honestly.
I think that is something that's important to talk about as well, because there's a lot of people who complain that these MacBooks, they were spec'd out and they're way overkill and all that. But like we said earlier, this is going to last us for a few years. So it's a good investment in my opinion, especially if you start changing up gear, you're upgrading gear, you don't want to spend $3,000 on a MacBook that is less expensive to then have to upgrade to a more expensive MacBook because it cannot really handle everything that you want to do with it.
Exactly. And I think if you're going to spend money on anything as a video professional, and if you are an editor, there are people who do make a living only shooting, which I'm kind of jealous of, because I don't necessarily love editing personally. It's kind of a means to an end.
Tell me about it.
I just enjoy people. I love being out. I like moving around. When I was a YouTuber, I tried my best to get out of the studio as much as possible. So we would shoot on location. We'd go to the beach. I went to the beach like every week when I lived in LA, which was awesome. And the mountains and like the city, like I love just being out and just like breathing fresh air, going out, changing up my scenery. I hate sitting at a desk and just like editing. It's like really hard for me. And I have a hard time focusing too. Like I really struggle with like ADHD, and the fact that the internet is attached to the machine that I use for work is really hard, because like I'll just get sucked into a YouTube video and I'm like, oh, this like Nintendo Switch review is only 38 minutes. I can watch this real quick.
38. I would never click on a video that's more than like 12 minutes.
You have
too
better long. Well, that's how bad it's gotten, right? It's like at first it was like, oh yeah, I only have 5 minutes. Oh well, it's only 10 minutes. Oh, it's only 20 minutes. Oh, it's only 38 minutes.
yeah, no, that's true. No, I think when it comes to editing, the reason why I love editing so much is because I believe that is where the story really comes alive. Like, of course, you can do storyboarding and scripting, and there will be a story, but for me, when it comes to editing, that is where everything comes together. It comes alive, and it's just so much fun to really see whatever you filmed, whether it's a trip or a video, to see that come together and to tell that story. That's really, I don't know, that's why I love editing so much. But I think that with YouTube, like we were talking about 38-minute videos, the whole way that YouTube works right now, where you need to grab their attention and you need to make sure that you keep their attention every 8 to 10 seconds, and you need to be very strategic. I feel like that comes with a lot of challenges, and it kind of takes away from the art of editing, because you have to be very strategic about it, like Mr. Beast, for example. What do you think about that? The way that we have to edit videos now, sort of have to.
I love it. I am excited
to audio.
Begin.
I think you're still muted.
You're right. I muted it and then I forgot. Sorry. I'm such a loser. You can tell I've been doing podcasts for 3 years. No, I actually love it. And that's why I'm getting out of the gear niche, at least temporarily, because I want to exercise those things in terms of like making it as entertaining as possible, cutting out all the fluff, getting straight to the point, focusing on my thumbnails and titles, and like I love the whole game. To me, I find that whole thing a game. So like I want to play the YouTube game. And when I was doing gear reviews, I felt like I am playing the YouTube game in the gear review space, but it wasn't interesting enough to me because it was more about the product. And if I get early enough access to talk about this product, then that helps with the viewership, because it's like, oh, I'm one of 10 other creators that have it. And then I'm competing with all the other guys and girls, let's be honest, mostly guys.
Yes.
So, and it's like, I just didn't want to be a part of that rat race. And I didn't like the fact that I was sort of like competing with other people too. Like, it's weird. It's like I'm stealing away views from maybe someone else who I love. Like I love this other creator or whatever. And obviously everybody has their own voice and everybody has their own style, but it seems like the companies now send so many products out that like there used to only maybe be 4 videos that come out when a product's out. But now it's like, especially with Sony, like if a new Sony camera comes out, it's like 30, 40 creators all on the same day posting it.
Yeah. Those embargoes.
feel like something needs to kind of change in the industry a little bit, because it's just so much.
Yeah, it's funny because embargoes, me as a viewer, it doesn't work for me. When I see that like 20 people that I'm subscribed to have uploaded a new video about this new thing that came out all at the same time, I don't watch it. Just, it's not that I'm against it, it's just that if at that point I'm not interested in it, I'm not going to watch it. So it doesn't matter if there's like 20 people or just one. Like, I don't know. I wonder if embargoes still work, because I see that with a lot of viewers that they don't really care that much about embargoes anymore, you know?
Of course, on the high end of things, like if there's a new phone that came out and MKBHD got it, and like I'm gonna watch his video, right?
Yeah, but that's him, you know?
Exactly, but there, you know, there's still room for other people to be creative too. Like, we're looking at it as it is. Like, I think there's still room for other people to come up with cool ideas that are different and have never been done before. And I think that's the beautiful thing about YouTube, is that there's so much variety and there's plenty of room for growth. I had a conversation with my friend Jevin Dovey, who's a creator on YouTube, and he was talking about how he was talking to a company that does embargoes. I won't say what company it is, but it's a company that sends out products to review. And the PR guy that he was talking to said, yeah, I want to work with you, Jevin, because you actually go out in the mount. Like, his whole thing is he travels and he'll like climb a mountain or whatever and like do a review while he's doing a hike or whatever. And so he basically said, like, we love working with you because you're actually doing something other than sitting behind a desk. Like, we're tired of everybody just sitting in their studio. Gerald Undone has made a career out of it and has almost branded his own purple studio as like his thing, which is great. But I think people are getting kind of tired of like just a person behind a desk talking about it. And,
yeah, I mean, I myself am experimenting a lot with also finding something that is what we talked about like way in the beginning about creating content that you're passionate about and what works. And I'm trying to find, like, I'm experimenting with different formats now, and I really enjoy taking it a step further. So I try to not do the whole desk thing. I try to have like little acting bits in it. I'm a terrible actor, but it's funny. So I just try to do a lot of different things now, which I think complements what you were saying about, you know, cutting out the fluff, making it entertaining. I think that is fun. It's just that what I was talking about, what I was trying to get at is that I think that having to edit a certain way and having to edit strategically doesn't necessarily, in a way it's creative, but in another way it's not. Like, if you have to follow a specific format or else you don't capture their attention, so they all just leave. And when they leave, the retention is bad. And when the retention is bad, your video doesn't get pushed out, you know? Yeah,
I think that's where, well, yeah, I mean, it is what it is with YouTube. It's like its own genre. So if you were editing a movie that was a comedy movie, you're going to edit it different than a drama. So almost think of YouTube as its own genre in of itself. So it's like this is a YouTube video, not just a film that's being hosted on YouTube. You can make a film, upload it to YouTube, and YouTube's just a website hosting that film. But at the end of the day, like, YouTube is a social media app. It's not necessarily like Netflix, even though it's, you know, it's similar. The fact that you are the creator, I subscribe to Lila, you're posting the video, I comment, you see the comments, you respond to the comments. It's a social media. Yeah. So it's just become the genre, and it's changed over the years. Like, as people change and as the platform changes, the way that you edit changes. And I think right now we're in the Mr. Beast era. He's crushing it, and his format is exactly what is working. So everybody's doing that, and I think it'll mature. That's what you were just talking about, Hayden. Like, he had a great video about this, about how YouTubers need to start focusing on story and thinking about the traditional rules of filmmaking and applying that to YouTube within the genre of YouTube. And I think we're going to see that happen more and more. But I mean, I was thinking about the same thing about how, like, what is it about Mr. Beast that like makes people watch to the end? And it's simple. It's been done with television for decades, which is like the game show model, works really well. There's been game shows for like 60 years now on TV where you have contestants, there's a winner and a loser, and they basically fight to the end to win money or a prize or something. You know, The Price is Right is like one of the oldest shows in, you know, The Wheel of Fortune. These are all like really old shows that are still on TV to this day. Jeopardy, you know, those types of things have existed for years and years and years. And it's because it's a simple model that as humans, when you watch it, if you get hooked into it, you're like, oh, is that person going to win? Are they going to win the money?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, true.
That will never change. People
true.
are always going to be interested in that.
That's true. But when it comes to the editing style, I am curious about, you know, because Mr. Beast's editing style seems to kind of be the way to go on YouTube right now. But then I also think if we look at his audience, and I might be completely wrong, but if we look at his audience, it's way younger than people that would look at a gear review, for example, because they probably have full-time jobs because they have the budget to spend like $3,000 on a new camera, right? So they
100%.
might actually not be that interested in the super hyperactive, whatever you want to call it, editing style. So I'm very interested to see that. And also, for example, Emma Chamberlain, I've been watching her vlogs for a while, and she completely changed her editing, and it's still captivating. It's still interesting, you know? So
and I think it was a little jarring for people at first. I don't know if her views were going down or not. I know I haven't really followed her, but I heard Colin and Samir talk about it, and I think she's big enough that it doesn't matter, and she also probably didn't care. She was just sick of doing it the way she was doing it, and she just changed it up.
For sure.
And
I think that is something that a lot of people mistake, is that when they look at her and they're like, oh, but she can call a vlog bad and she gets 4 million views, so I can do that. I'm like, no. It's Emma. She's built this for years. She's like a unicorn. She's at the top with Casey Neistat and all of those people, like David Dobrik.
Sure.
They can do these things. Now, of course, it doesn't mean like you cannot do it, but don't expect almost 4 million views on a vlog called Bed when you're sitting in bed. You know,
exactly.
It probably won't work that way. She did it very well, though, but she has this thing about her that just works so well, and she's very creative.
Totally.
But yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it can if you have all those things that she has, which is charisma and experience, then maybe you could make it work over time, but probably not, because she has the audience. You have to find ways to get discovered, and that's the beautiful thing about the niche that we're in, was like you do get natural discovery because people are searching for Premiere tutorials or M1 Max reviews and things like that. So people are just kind of discovering your content automatically without you having to do anything.
Yeah, but what's interesting about that is that, you know, when I started my channel, I was very focused on SEO and, you know, making my title as unsexy as possible because I needed the target words to be in there so that people could find my videos. But you're actually that way. You're actually targeting a very small group of people, because I think that only, correct me if I'm wrong, like 20 to 30% of total traffic on YouTube is search. So when you target the other 70%, which is where Emma Chamberlain is at, you know, like she gets a lot of views probably from browsed or suggested. That is actually where the views are. So with us, you naturally get some views because you're being discovered when someone looks for you, but you can get so many more views when you are being suggested or recommended by YouTube.
So I go to your channel, I change it to sort by most popular, and all of your big videos are Premiere based.
Yes.
Get the cinematic film look in 3 steps. That's your biggest video, 603,000 views. That's awesome. Number 2 is Learn Premiere Pro in 15 minutes. That has almost 500,000.
Yeah.
What have you found with your audience and with what you've been creating that works best for your channel?
That's a really good question. I think that when you sort on most popular, a lot of those videos are a year old or 2 years old. So it's mostly accumulative views, if that's how you pronounce it. But those
videos are great because they are sort of evergreen videos.
Yes, yes. I think that's so important, especially with YouTube. Like, you need to be able to take breaks as well. And if you only do, for example, if you only review the newest gear, then taking a month off isn't necessarily, I mean, it's possible, of course it's possible, but it might give you some anxiety because you're missing out on all of these updates or trends. You're not riding the trend anymore. And when you have evergreen videos like I do, I could take a month off, which wouldn't be great, but I could take a month off and I would still consistently get views because a lot of my videos are evergreen. But it's interesting because not all of these videos, even though they are tutorials, not all of them are heavily search traffic. There are a few videos in here that actually get a lot of traffic from being suggested by YouTube. So, but yeah, I don't, what was your question
what about
again? Yeah.
Just like what works for you, and have you experimented with different thumbnail strategies and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when it comes to YouTube, it's ever evolving and you're always experimenting. I think that if you're not experimenting anymore, you're probably doing something wrong. But I think that when it comes to YouTube, so I was very, this is funny because I was very against making my thumbnails look YouTubey, because you know, with a YouTubey thing, you have an arrow and you have text and you have like, I don't know, those like outlines around people or whatever, like very YouTubey, not very aesthetic, because you know, in our niche, everything needs to look aesthetically pleasing, right? You know, you just want great photographs and you don't want anything else in it. So I was very against it, but I started using it and I'm actually having fun with it now because I can have fun with it in Photoshop a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, when it comes to answer your question, I'm just trying things out and let me see.
And what's your demographic, male to female ratio? I'm curious.
Not enough female. I think, I actually looked today. I think it's
mostly, what's your male ratio? What's the percentage?
I think, if I remember it correctly this morning, in the last quarter, so from October till now, it's 90% male and 10% female.
Wow. Yeah, that's like what that's what Indie Mogul was and Kinetica. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, because that's proving the fact that it just so happens that 90% of people that are in the video industry are probably male. Like, I don't think it's a sexist situation, because in this example, you are a female. So you're going to speak to females. So in theory, you should have more females watching than me.
Yeah, I just need to be discovered by the women. They need to find my channel.
Exactly.
No, but I think that it's just a fact
of life. Just like a makeup channel, that's going to be the exact same ratio that somebody doing a makeup channel is going to have, female to male. 90% female, 10% male. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's important to for you to get an equal opportunity, and I hope you feel that way, and I hope nothing has happened that causes that, because I don't, like, obviously you're talking about all the same things, you're crushing it as a creator, you're growing, like, you know, that's kind of the beautiful thing about YouTube, is that you can live in another country, you don't have to live in America, and it doesn't necessarily matter what gender you are. It, like, as long as you just put in the work and you work hard, like, you can succeed. So
yeah, for sure. There are, like, I have had instances where men don't want to listen to a woman and they rather listen to a man giving them advice or whatever, but I just brushed that up. Yeah, those people are just stupid. They're not worth the energy. There are so many people who do benefit from whatever you're sharing, so I try to focus on those people and not the few people who, or the few men who think that they can just say something about my looks, or, you know, I'm just like, I'm giving you all this information for free, and all you care about is that my forehead looks too big, or my teeth look too yellow, or I'm not dressed up as or I'm not like ladylike enough, or I am too revealing, you know. But it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but I honestly do not let that discourage me, and I really hope that if there's any women listening who are thinking about it but who are worried about these kind of comments, it's not even worth it. It's not worth not pursuing what you want to do just because there are some stupid people who are telling you stupid things, because there will always be stupid people, you know?
As a male, I got all sorts of stupid, hateful comments as well. So it doesn't necessarily, but I would imagine that the comments you get as a female in a majority male demographic is going to be disgusting, I would imagine, in some senses.
Sometimes,
and then
yes.
also repulsing, and then also rude and just awful. But that's the beauty of the block button.
Yes. Oh, oh my God. I love the hide user option, because they literally will scream into a void and you will not see it. No one will see it, but they still think that they're commenting. It's the best thing ever. It's better than blocking. I love it. It's so good. Every time that I do it, it's just...
Yeah, what's the difference? What's it called?
Well,
so you go to...
What do you mean?
It's not block.
Yeah, no, so it's hide user. So you can hide a user. And that way they can still watch your videos. They can still comment, but no one will see it, yourself included, which is just great.
Okay, so yeah, you go to the YouTube studio, you go to the comments section, you go to the little ... action menu. Instead of report or remove, you go to hide user from channel.
Yes, because when you remove it, you just remove the comment. You don't remove the person.
Oh, but I always thought that meant that they're not allowed to see any more of my videos ever. Like, they can still watch the video, they just can't. They're hidden from the channel in their comments.
They are, but they can still comment, but no one will see them. It's just literally like a black void that they're just screaming in, and no one. It's the most entertaining idea, I think. Like, when I think about it, it just makes makes me not laugh, but it amuses me. Just go ahead, have fun. Have you met Sarah Dici or Justine or any of the female creators in our niche, or Kitty, Atola Visuals? I met Kitty in LA. I saw Sarah in LA. We haven't met, but we have DM'd a little bit. But further than that, no. But I have met Lizzie, and I'm friends with Becky from Becky and Chris. So I have a few.
Becky's awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, I would assume, like, if anybody who's listening, who's a female, just like wants to connect with Lila, reach out. And I think it's important to have that community. For sure.
Please feel free to DM me on Instagram or whatever. I try to reply to most of the DMs. So yeah, feel free. I would love it. Awesome. It's honestly, it's fun. I think it's a very interesting discussion. Do we need more women on YouTube? And my argument always is only if there are women who want to be on YouTube and aren't there. Like, I don't necessarily need a 50-50 split. I just want the women who want to be on YouTube but feel like they cannot be, or they are afraid to be, or whatever reason there is. I want them to be here, Of course. Yeah. Absolutely. But if the split is going to be 10-90, so be it. I love it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and anyways, yeah, I think that's a good way to end that topic. I don't want to go into the weeds of it, but yeah, that's awesome. So let's see, what else can we talk about?
Kelsey is great too, by the way. Premiere gal. Do you know her?
Yeah, I know her.
She's great too.
I met her.
Yeah, she's great.
Totally. Premiere gal.
Yes.
I don't watch those videos because I don't use Premiere, but
when are you switching? Come on. When are you switching?
Oh, never. Oh my gosh.
What?
I started on Premiere with a PC and on CS3. That's how old I am, but yeah, so I was using Adobe Photoshop and Premiere CS3 when I started, I think I was 13 years old when I started.
So do the math. Figure out how old he is.
31. Yeah. So, and then when I bought a Mac, I switched to Final Cut Pro 7 before X even existed. And at the time, I feel like 7 was kind of the industry standard for the most part. Avid was like the main program in Hollywood, and then Final Cut came out, and it was like revolutionary because it was more consumer focused, and then Premiere obviously as well around that same time. But because Apple owned the market in terms of pros using Macintosh computers, Final Cut was huge. And then everybody was so stoked about Final Cut Pro X to come out. It came out and it was so radically different that everybody freaked out, and there was a lot of features that were removed that are now completely back and totally, to say that Final Cut Pro 10 or Pro, I think they dropped the X recently, but to say that Final Cut Pro is not a pro video app now is like stupid. Like, that's not true anymore.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely is.
Like 11 years ago when it came out, there were definitely a lot of features that were missing, and you can make the argument that it wasn't pro enough back then. But I was young at the time. I think I was only like 18 when it came out or whatever. Well, 11 years ago. I'm 31, so now I was 20. I was 20.
You're not that young. You weren't that young. Just kidding.
Yeah, I wasn't. But anyways, I switched. All my friends that I was working with at the time switched, so we all were using it and learning it together, and I fell in love with the magnetic timeline. The fact that it was, once you learn to optimize it, it speeds up your workflow so crazy. So imagine, like, I don't know how you edit your like A roll of like you talking, but I know for me, especially when I was on a teleprompter. Do you use a teleprompter, by the way?
No, I don't.
Okay. Sometimes I would use it, sometimes I wouldn't. But when I was at Indie Mogul, I would use it because it was really efficient to spend like a day writing the script, and then the shoot is only like an hour or whatever max. Yeah. So I just sit down and read the prompter, and then I'm done. But you know, it's like I read like a block of a paragraph, pause, maybe I made a mistake, so I go back and fix it. So anyways, you have like this one long clip on your timeline. In Final Cut, you can just look at the waveform, cut out the gaps, delete. It just moves as you delete it. Yeah. And then you hit play, and it's like, I kind of messed that up. I'll just slip it over a little bit. Everything moves with it. Obviously, you can ripple delete in Premiere. You can do little things like that, but it's just more steps that, because I love that magnetic timeline, it actually speeds up my workflow in that way.
That makes sense. So you never had a Sony Vegas period or phase?
My dad's actually a filmmaker as well, and he's a documentary filmmaker. He had a film in theaters last year, which was like a huge achievement. He's had 4 in theaters, but this one was like a proper theatrical release that Sony Pictures put out, but it's a documentary. But anyways, he was all Vegas, and so he told me, like, you got to get on Vegas. Vegas is great. And I'm like, no, Dad, that's like an amateur app, you know? So, but it wasn't. It was great. Like, I think Final Cut 10 took a lot of the things that were in Vegas. Some of those features are in there. It's a lot easier to use, I hear, and it runs really well. I don't know if it's still actively in development. But did you use it on the PC?
Yeah, I used it like, I don't know, when I first got interested in editing, which was when I was like, I don't know, like 14 or something, I used a cracked version, of course, of Sony Vegas. And I remember that it was very basic, but that was all that I needed. And I think that's so important, you know, like we're talking about these fancy editing programs like Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, but you can use Windows Movie Maker. I don't know if that's still a thing, or iMovie, or whatever works for you. But yeah, I used Sony Vegas just for like a little bit when I was like 14, 15. And then after that, it's funny because I don't even know when I started editing like 3-4 years ago why I chose Premiere. It was just a thing that I used Photoshop, so I just started using Premiere, loved Premiere. And for me, the magnetic timeline, I get what you were saying, but I am so used to grouping my things together when I'm editing a video, you know, and I need gaps. I need to have gaps. Apparently you can turn that off in Final Cut. I didn't know that, but
yeah, you can turn it off and you can add gaps. But yeah, I have a hotkey. The letter G is a gap, so it like adds like a 1 second block of nothing. So like as I'm editing, if I want to just scoot it over, I'll just drop that in, and I can scoot it around. But
cool, I didn't know.
I think the thing that a lot of people underestimate is the fact that Apple was kind of banking on the fact that over generations, like there are going to be people who have no preconceived notions of how to edit, and if you learn how to edit on Final Cut and you've never even touched anything else, and that's how you learn, it's actually easier, because telling people to rethink and relearn how to edit is really hard to do, and that's why everybody like jumped ship and went over to Premiere when Final Cut X came out.
Yeah, I mean, that is what I experienced when I installed DaVinci Resolve like a long time ago because of the color grading thing. I wanted to try it.
It's great.
But I looked at it and I was just yelling at my computer. I was like, why is nothing working? I don't get it, because I'm so used to Premiere Pro that it's completely relearning a new program, and I cannot. Or for example, when I got this MacBook, I installed the trial version of Final Cut because I just wanted to see what it was like. But then I couldn't cut a clip the way that I usually cut a clip, and everything took so
Sure.
much time that I
takes
opened
time.
I opened it for 30 minutes, and it's like a 90-day trial, and I've not used it in the 90 days whatsoever. So shame on
You should
me.
make a video.
But
You could make a video, but yeah, it's hard for. It's very hard to relearn things. It takes a lot of effort. I know for me, when I went from Final Cut 7 to X, like even ironically from the same program, just an update, it was so radically different. It took me and the guys I was working with about 3 to 4 months of daily use to get comfortable with it. But once we like spent the time and really optimized it, like I've been benefiting from that for 11 years of not having to worry about buying the most expensive computer, because it's so optimized that I was on like a MacBook Air for like 2 years as my primary machine, doing full-time video work, because Final Cut is so optimized, especially in the timeline. Obviously where you see it really slow down is when you have a really low spec machine. If you export it, it's going to take a long time if there's like really bad GPUs in it. But in terms of editing on the timeline, it like cut through things like butter. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is what I would expect when it's made by Apple for Apple. Like if Premiere or DaVinci was better than Final Cut, then I would be like, Apple, what are you doing? You know?
Well, at the moment, right now, as we speak, I believe DaVinci Resolve is performing better than Final Cut in terms of optimization and export time.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But now I'm the old person saying, well, I know I like how Final Cut works. I can't relearn it, you know.
Yeah, but that's literally me every time someone asks me, so when are you gonna start doing Final Cut Pro tutorials or DaVinci or whatever? I'm like, no, I know Premiere. I love Premiere. I love the ecosystem of Adobe, you know, being able to use all of these apps together. It's basically like the Apple ecosystem, you know. It's really nice.
My only rebuttal to that, everybody always says that. Like, I'm a part of the Adobe ecosystem too. I use Photoshop, I use After Effects, I use Illustrator occasionally, and they all work in Final Cut too. Like, I can pull in PSD files, I can adjust and edit the PSD files in Final Cut. Obviously, you don't get the dynamic linking, but to After Effects, but you know, I can just export a ProRes file and bring it in or whatever. But.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people who use Final Cut are maybe not part of the Adobe ecosystem. Like they may use Audacity or, you know, all of these other, I don't even know what the equivalent of Photoshop is, but if you use all of those separate apps, it might not be as easy. I don't know.
Affinity Photo or Pixelmator Pro, I have that and use that occasionally. There's no alternative to Lightroom. Like I know a lot of people talk about Capture One, but it's not the same. And it's strange that nobody has really made a proper like Lightroom alternative. So that's one of the main things that I have to have is Lightroom, because if I'm working with, you know, 300 pictures for something and I just want to go through them and edit them quickly, like that is still the best solution. So
that's interesting. I didn't know that. I do have one more question for you, by the way, which is related to video editing. Are you an intuitive editor, or do you follow like video editing rules or like film theory?
What is that? What do you mean?
Good question. So I personally, I just learned editing. I never even read about film theory or whatever. Basically what Hayden always talks about, like he really knows the rules. I don't know any of the rules. I just edit based on my intuition, what I think is good and what feels good. And I'm just wondering how you edit your videos or freelance work. Do you follow any of the rules, or do you just do what feels good?
Do you mean the rules in that, like the Act 1, like Act 2, Act 3
like the story structure? Arc, and you know, any like again, I don't know any of them, so I can't really give you any examples except for the story arc with Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Yeah, I mean, all of that would be in pre-production, so therefore it would come into the edit. So if I were like in the past when I used to shoot weddings, I would shoot the wedding, or even before I would shoot the wedding, I would write out like on a piece of paper, like, okay, I'm going to start out with the I now pronounce so-and-so, and then cut to a sequence of them getting ready, and then I'll maybe ask the bride a question about something, and so I'll feed her a line, and then she'll give me a response that would help tie in the story, and then we cut to the reception and whatever. So I have like a template basically on paper of what the edit's going to look like. Go shoot it knowing what I need to get, and then once I'm editing, I literally just plug it in where it needs to go, but then sometimes changing things based off of intuition. So I don't know, I don't actively think about the rules as I'm doing it, but I guess it's intuitive at this point because I've been doing it for so long. And a lot of times if it's a project that I made from the beginning, then I will have already thought all this out before I even start the edit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I am very, like, as a YouTuber, the pre-production is basically just planning out your video. It's not as extensive as like really big projects with different scenes or whatever. So I get what you're saying. So let me ask you this then. Did you learn editing in school, or like were you taught editing, or are you self-taught?
100% self-taught.
Cool.
I dropped out of college or university, as you may say out there. I don't know. What do you call college, like after high school?
So we have different levels here. So we have university, which is the highest level, and then we have University of Applied Sciences, which is, I think, college, and then you have, I don't even know what it's called in English, but I think it's the what is it called? A GED? What is it?
Oh yeah.
There is a community college thing.
Oh, community college? Okay.
I don't know.
No, GED is not. GED is basically like you didn't graduate high school, so as an adult you go get a GED, which is the equivalent of a high school diploma.
So can you choose not to finish high school in the States?
No, you're not. You're not allowed. Like,
okay.
I mean, of course, if you drop out or whatever, that's just what it is. But you're supposed to finish high school.
So you can drop out. You can choose
I think if you're an adult, if you're 18 years old as a senior in high school, I believe you have the right and ability to do that. Often the people who don't finish high school are people who either run away or troublemakers or whatever.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, it is required because it is a public. It's like one of our few kind of public things, I guess, that we pay.
So what do you call when someone studies to become like a lawyer or a doctor? Is that just college, or is that called something different? Because that would be university for us, and then marketing managers, which is a little bit less. I don't even know how to translate this into like the American education system, but yeah,
higher
college,
education.
University, same.
Yeah, university is like the name of certain colleges, I guess you could say. So like, out here there's a popular one called Vanderbilt University, but
it's a college. It's the same.
The word college and university go hand in hand here. So it's
okay. Yeah.
What college did you go to? I went to Vanderbilt University.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so for us we would have university and college basically. Oh, you didn't?
I didn't go to any. I went for a year and a half to a community college. I was going to go to art school and like study animation because at the time I wanted to like work for Pixar. That was kind of my dream at the time, was to actually do 3D animation. But I was a magician at the time too. I don't know if you knew that, but I was a professional illusionist for years before I ever even did video professionally.
That's cool. That seems to be a common thing. Either a YouTuber is, or in our niche, is either a magician or a skater boy. There's a few different categories.
I've talked about this multiple times on the show, but yeah, I met Peter McKinnon like 7 years ago at a magic conference before either one of us did any YouTube. So
that's so
he may
funny.
remember me because we did have quite a long interaction and we were friends on Vimeo before anything happened. So yeah, but so I was a professional magician for a couple years, for like 6 years, and then I started doing video and I dropped out because I was doing shows and also shooting weddings. So I was like,
yeah, cool.
I felt like college wasn't necessary for the type of work I was doing.
I think that is a whole different thing in the US because it's so expensive as well compared to here. Like I
Sure.
studied international business management, which is completely different than what I'm doing right now. But here, tuition is 2,000 euros a year, not like 20,000 or whatever it is over there. So it's way more
Sure.
affordable. So here it's kind of normal and natural to go to uni after you graduated high school. I think even in the Scandinavian countries like Sweden, it's free. So it's a no-brainer to continue doing your studies. Although I think that when it comes
It's cheap.
to... Yeah,
It's cheap to go to community school. It's cheap to go to like a normal school here. You know, 4,000, 6,000 or whatever for like
Yeah.
a basic school. But when you go to those higher level, like, you know, universities or specialist art schools, especially, those are like, you know, 60,000 a year or whatever. But which is ridiculous.
What?
It's so stupid.
Yeah, but I've always wondered because I didn't go to school to learn any of this, and I get why people do, but then at the same time, like I feel like when it comes to video editing or filmmaking in general, you learn the best by doing, not by necessarily going to school and learning all of these rules
Totally.
and story arcs and whatever, you know. I feel like if you just do it and you have an intuition and you just have a gut feeling of how to edit, which I think that you also develop, and you learn things along the way. Like obviously you learn, for example, when it comes to me as a YouTuber, I learn that there are certain ways to edit your video, you know.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that it is mandatory to go to film school in order to become a creator or
Absolutely.
any person in the film industry.
It's certainly not required when you get offered a job or an opportunity. Nobody ever asks, like, before I hire you, can I please see your diploma? Are you a certified video editor? Let me see that diploma.
Yeah.
But versus if you're a doctor or a lawyer, I would hope that my doctor who's performing brain surgery went to medical
Yeah.
school.
I'd hope so too.
So.
Same.
Well, I have one last question to ask you before we get going. It has been almost 2 hours, so this is awesome. If you could change one thing about YouTube, if you had like a magic wand and you could change one thing about it, what would you change?
What would I change? I would probably. I can only choose one thing, right? I'm thinking of a few things now. First of all, I'm just gonna say two. First
You could
of
do
all,
two, that's fine.
Okay. First of all, I would change the importance of thumbnails. I totally understand why they are that important, but I hate making thumbnails with a passion. Every time my video is done, it's uploaded, I have a title, and it gets delayed because who didn't make a thumbnail? Me. And then I need to go and shoot a thumbnail, and I need to do all these stupid faces and people ask me, why do you do those stupid faces? Because you click on my stupid face, that's why, you know. So it would be really nice to just go back to basic, like back to, I don't even know what year
Text
it was,
only.
20 yeah, or just like the whatever YouTube picks for you, you know. I would love to go back to that time, so that's something that I would change. And then secondly, I think in general, on the one hand, I do love the YouTube game. On the other hand, sometimes I would like to have a little bit more freedom. And, you know, I know that Sarah Dici, she talks about it a lot, where she makes a video that isn't necessarily in her niche and YouTube immediately kind of punishes her for that. I would love that to change a little bit as well.
Yeah, those are two very fair points.
What about you? Ha.
You're good. I don't often, people don't ask me questions on the podcast, so that's great.
Well, it's a conversation, so I want to know.
I like those. I like your answers, actually. As much as I enjoy the game and think it's fun to do, I actually enjoy the thumbnails. But that's because I've always focused, like, over the last couple of years, I make that part of the whole process. So it's like sometimes even before we shoot it, we, you know, would edit it or like conceptualize the thumbnail before we even shoot the video.
That's the best way to go about it. I never do it. For me, it's an afterthought, but it's the best way is to have your title and your thumbnail ready before you do anything else. So
I
that's
don't remember
great.
who said that first that it resonated with me. I remember it was I interviewed a guy from John Rettinger, who's a tech YouTuber. I had his video editor on the show, and he mentioned how, like, before they even shoot a video, they sit around a table and they come up with concepts and titles on a whiteboard, and they just write down titles, and then they come up with a thumbnail and a title, because he's like, we're all proficient video creators. We know how to edit and how to shoot. So we have no concern whether or not we can make a video. We know we can make any video that we come up with. So we start with the thumbnail and title and make sure that that's attractive first, and then make the video, because we know we can make the video.
Yeah, I love that. I also love that they have a team. I was talking to this, I don't know if you know him. He's a Dutch YouTuber called ghpod. He's I think he's like the
Definitely not.
He's in gaming.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah, it's like YouTube is a worldwide website, and there's creators all over the world that Americans have no idea who they are.
Yeah, but it's funny because he is the biggest Dutch YouTuber, and I think that his audience is mainly in the US. So that's why I thought you may have heard of him.
What's his name?
ghpod. Do you want me to DM? It's KW.
Okay.
Are you typing it?
Okay, yeah, I see it popping up now as I do KWEBBELKOP.
Yes.
15 million subs.
Yeah, so I was talking to him. I went to this dinner with Jelly Smack, and he was there as well, and we talked about it. He showed me his process, and he was talking about, you know, how he has a thumbnail guy and he has his whole team, and I was like, oh, I'm so jealous of that. I'm so jealous of people who have an entire team that you can just sit down.
He's not doing well. He's got 15 million subs, and he's getting under 100K. He's getting 59,000 views, and he's got 15 million subs. That's not good.
Let's see. I don't know.
I don't see anything with 1 million views from even a month ago.
He does upload every day though. But I don't know, honestly. It's just, I don't watch his content because it's not my cup of tea, like the whole gaming thing. But I was just, the reason why I mentioned him is because he talked about having a team, just like you just talked about with the video editor, and just being able to sit at a table with other people and to sketch out thumbnails together, to talk about that together, to, you know, write down titles together.
That is something you can do for free by having friends and reaching out to them and calling them.
Oh, definitely. You know. I do that. Yeah. But it's different. In-person energy is different than doing everything 100%. Online, you know? So that's just...
Or on I call about 2 creators a week just to like chat, and we'll kind of talk about that stuff. I think it's really valuable to have, if you can find anybody like you, that's especially somebody who's better, that has, you know, more experience to bounce those ideas off.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be in your niche either, you know. It's sometimes it can be really good to have like an accountability buddy or partner who's outside the niche looking in, you know. Totally. There are some things they may not know about, but in general, having an accountability buddy, like I have a friend as well that we watch each other's videos, we give feedback, we talk about titles and thumbnails and all of these things, and it has helped me so much to not just be in my own head and just negotiate with myself and brainstorm with myself, but still nothing trumps being in a room with other people and talking about that stuff, you know. 100%. But yeah, so back to the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Although we've done a 2-hour conversation, it does feel like we're having coffee, having a discussion. It's because the video helps. True.
It's a webcam video, so it feels more casual as well.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, you're right. Maybe I'll start using the webcam instead of my real camera.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that could be the new thing, right? Like, we're all downgrading to the ZV-1 now, too, so this might be the next thing.
Oh, let's talk about... Oh, gosh. It's already been 2 hours.
If you want to talk about it, it's fine. Let's talk about it.
So you switched to the ZV-1?
I did.
I love that camera because the color on it is great. I feel like Sony has really nailed their color science. Yes. And the color is great on it. Just in the standard profile without picture profiles turned on, I like it. And then the flip screen is great. The having a built-in mic that's decent is actually pretty cool. The fact that you don't have to put a mic on it. It does have a microphone jack, So if you really want to, you could put a boom mic on it. But the fact that the built-in one is decent is actually kind of nice.
I agree. So I got the A6600 for vlogging, but I realized that it was keeping me from vlogging because it was big, and in the Netherlands at least, you know, we're not really used to vloggers or whatever. You have to have a license, or they will ask you, do you have permission? Do you have like a license to vlog inside this building, you know? So you can't really go anywhere with the A6600. Like even when it was turned off and I would hold it in my hand, because it has this external microphone and it looks big and it looks professional, everyone would always ask me what I was going to do with the camera. So it was, for me, it really kept me from making vlogs. And then I was in Sweden with Peter, and he had the ZV-1. And I was like, I love this little thing. It's so tiny. You can put it in your pocket. You can even put it in a woman's pocket, which says a lot about the size of the camera. And it is, like you said, the built-in microphone. It's good enough. The colors are good enough. I don't do any post-processing most of the time when it comes to my vlog. It's just raw, put it on the timeline, cut it up, add some music, have some fun with it, and that is it. And the flippy screen is also really great. Like, I love everything about it. The only two things that I hate about it is the battery life. It's really bad. And what I don't hate this, but I wish that the lens was just a little bit wider for vlogging.
Do you shoot in 4K or 1080?
4K, I think. I think of, yeah, 4K, I think.
I think it crops in a little bit in 4K. You could
I'm not
switch
sure.
to 1080.
I know that the active...
The stabilization turns it in, yeah.
Yeah, but I tried shooting without the... Like, even with the stabilization, it's super shaky, and without the stabilization, I just cannot handle it, so it needs to be cropped in just a little bit.
Should put it on get like a little selfie stick or whatever, I guess. But
yeah, I could do that, but then it makes the setup a little bit bigger again, and I really like that I can just put it in my pocket, no one notices it, and I can just quickly shoot some stuff in a store walking around, you know?
Totally.
But yeah, it's great. It's so.
Somebody needs to make a like a 16:35 equivalent version of that. You know, that'd be awesome.
Yes, that's exactly what I would love.
You could get the ZV-E10 with like the 10-18 on it or something. But then again, you have the problem of it. You have the problem of it looking more like a camera at that point. So.
Yeah, and this also, you know, when someone does notice that you're filming with this camera, they often think that it's for a hobby and not necessarily for... Because that's the thing with the bigger cameras. They think that it's commercial or professional, and for that you would need some sort of a license or approval from the management in whatever store or cafe you're at. But with this little thing, they could just think that I'm some tourist just shooting some stuff and it's fine, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And it's just...
The autofocus is just incredible too, obviously.
Yes.
It's the same Sony autofocus that we're used to.
And the aperture is also really great, in my opinion. It goes down to 1.8.
Yeah, and the 1-inch sensor is plenty big enough to give you some nice bokeh. It's got a built-in ND filter inside of it too, which is kind of cool.
True. It's really... but what I've noticed, so I went to Paris.
The slow-mo is crazy on it too.
I haven't tried that yet. I still need to try that. I haven't... But
yeah, the slow-mo looks so good. But I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it online, but I haven't tried it myself yet. But when I went to Paris in December, I vlogged the entire trip. But then that was the moment where I noticed that the dynamic range isn't as great. You know, obviously, you cannot really expect like A7S III quality or A7 III quality in the ZV-1. I think that the ZV-1 is a fantastic camera and I love it, and especially compared to the A6600 for vlogging, I think the ZV-1 is a way better fit. But when you're walking outside, and usually I put my ISO on auto, but outside I just put it on the lowest one, which is I think 100, and I use the ND filter, you could still see that it's having a hard time capturing everything, keeping the details in there. But, you know, you cannot really ask for everything for like $600-700, you know?
Yeah, I think if you're starting out a YouTube channel, it's the perfect tool. It's small, compact, cheap.
Yes.
You get the autofocus, get the flip screen. Obviously, the battery life is an issue, but there are workarounds. You could, in theory, have like a little external power thing that you plug in over USB. I'm sure there's different grips and accessories and cages that you could get for it now to build it out to have batteries.
I just have these super cheap. Can I find them?
Just like little knockoff Amazon batteries, basically.
Yeah, I can't find it now, but I have these, I have two original Sony ones, but they're way more expensive than the knockoff ones. And then I was like, you know what? For my trips, I probably need a few more batteries. So I just got 3 for $20 or something, including a charger. So that's another way. It's annoying.
Just swap them out.
Yeah, it's annoying to have to swap them out, but honestly, if that's the worst thing, then I think it's still pretty good.
And they're small. The batteries are tiny, so you could keep a couple in your pocket, even your woman pockets.
Yes, exactly. It's a great camera, and for the purpose of vlogging, I like it more than the A6600. Also, the colors on the A6600, they have the little like the greenish look that you don't have on the ZV-1. Yeah.
They have the older color science. Yeah, Sony's really solved the skin tone problem with this. All of the new cameras have better skin tones.
It's funny because when you mentioned like if you're beginning on YouTube, the ZV-1 is a great camera. I totally agree. I got the iPhone 12 Pro as my vlogging camera because the cameras were so amazing. I have to disagree with that. I tried to vlog on this thing a few times on my iPhone and I was so disappointed every time. I was so disappointed, which is why I ended up going for the ZV-1, which I think
still looks like an iPhone. Yeah, it still looks like a phone
and the lens
camera.
flares, and there's this weird HDR. I guess you can turn that off, but it's just like, it's not what I thought it would be. So, and compared to the ZV-1, I would definitely say the ZV-1 is a great choice. So if you have a little bit of a budget, then you will not regret getting the ZV-1. I see so many people getting the ZV-1 now, you know? It's a great camera.
I had a conversation with I told you about the my interview with Oscar, who's Jeff Wittick's guy.
Yes.
And they vlog on the 80D still. And like he said there's something about the 80D with that kit lens that like it just has a great vlog kind of feel with the zoom as like a comedic effect, and like the weight of it is kind of perfect, like the weight kind of stabilizes it, but it looks like a real camera, so you're going to go into places and people might think that you're a professional, but they don't use a microphone, they just use the built-in mics, just like David Dobrik does. And I asked him, I was like, why don't you put a mic on it? He's like, the built-in mic, like he's like, I've done tests, it's not that bad. Like the built-in mic on the 80D in particular is pretty good, and it picks up everything. So like even people behind the camera, it picks up the audio pretty well. Like the David Dobrik laugh that's like so famous with his content, like you can totally hear him laughing even though he's behind the camera, and that's because the built-in mics kind of capture a full 360 of everything.
That's true.
And kind of the amateurish like sound and quality kind of makes it feel more authentic in a way. So
yeah, and I think that is something that a lot of people like naturally you would think that they would use like the best cameras, right? But for some, I know also with Logan Paul, with Hayden, they shoot things, it's all very strategic, using, I'm not saying that I don't know what camera they're using, but using like not a top of the line camera could also be a strategic decision, you know? And for example, when it comes to my vlogs, they're also a bit raw. They aren't perfectly shot because that's not what my personality is like per se. So I think that it captures me in a more authentic way to keep it a little bit messy. And that doesn't necessarily mean that David Dobrik or whoever, or Casey Neistat, he's very well known for his kind of like messy filming and editing, doesn't mean that they don't have the skills. It's also a creative choice, and the camera that you're using is also a creative choice. You don't need to get the A7S III to be a great creator. If you want to shoot like a bunch of high quality cinematic, quote unquote cinematic stuff, maybe, but if you just want to shoot like David Dobrik, ZV-1 would be fine, or whatever. What was he using? The ADD?
The ADD. The Canon ADD with the kit lens and the built-in mic.
Is he still using that though? I thought still, I saw him. No, really?
They're not. He hasn't gone 4K. It's still 1080. It's like the built-in everything. Oh. In terms of like,
so
there's no color grading. He uses iMovie to edit, and he makes tens of millions of dollars a year.
Emma Chamberlain also uses iMovie. Which is just, again, just use whatever you have, just use whatever works for you, you know? I think that especially in our niche, you can get very distracted or even a little bit insecure that you don't have the best gear, and everyone's like, gear doesn't matter, and then every time they upgrade to the newest gear, right? But it doesn't mean that you actually need it.
Exactly.
That's so funny.
I think, and I definitely want to say that in this podcast, because we were talking about a $5,000 laptop and how everybody should go buy one, but it's not even necessary to do that. Like, you were able to get away with the $800 PC for so many years. I was able to use a MacBook Air as my main computer for years. When I first started my YouTube career, I was on a baseline 13-inch. I think I paid $900 for it, and that was my main computer for like 5 years or something before I upgraded to the 16-inch. So not this, I got the previous 16-inch with the Intel chip. That was the first like beefy computer I bought in a long time. So it can totally be done with whatever you have, and I think that's a great scapegoat or like excuse for people to say like, oh, I don't have the A7S III and an M1 Max, so I can't start my YouTube channel. And it's like, no, that's not true. You can technically use your iPhone. Yes. Although if you can save up a little bit of money and buy a ZV-1 or even an older used camera, then that's a better solution in my opinion than an iPhone, because it looks more like a real camera. But anyways. No,
I agree. Yeah. I think that it's also, but I also get it. Like, I think that some people, they use it as an excuse. But other people, they also just get discouraged because you see people like Peter McKinnon, you see, or Peter Lindgren's office filled with gear, you know? You see all these things, you see those amazing videos with like the newest Mavic, whatever it's called. I mean, I don't even know the names, you know? I don't even look at that stuff. Only when I need a drone, I will look at the drones. I have no idea which drones are in the market right now. I'm not that much of a gearhead, but I also get that people get discouraged because, for example, in Sweden, I use the Ronin 4D, the new beefy AF camera from DJI. Yeah. I use it. It's fantastic. But I also get that people they see that and they're like, yeah, well, I'm never going to be able to make that kind of content, so never mind, you know?
Sure.
So I understand that as well. But then I think it also depends. Like, I think that we're very focused on our niche, but people who listen to this aren't necessarily into the whole filmmaking niche. Maybe they just want to create videos. And in that case, you can shoot on a potato. No one cares, you know? Just go for it.
Totally.
In our niche, gear matters a little bit, you know, because like you said, I don't know if we recorded that bit, but like you said, you know, you need to have the lighting, and it needs to look a certain way in order for people to buy the fact that you actually know what you're talking about. But in 99% of the other niches, you can film on a potato, you can edit in iMovie and whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Just, it's all about story and experience and giving the viewer an experience, not your experience, you know?
Well, on that note, I think that's a great way to close out the podcast. Thank you, Lila, for coming on the show. We'll have to have you on again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Go subscribe to Lila. I will link it in the description and the show notes. Lila on YouTube and everywhere. That's where you can find her.
Lila from YouTube.
Yeah, Lila from YouTube. Yes. Sorry.
Even though I don't like it, I've surrendered.
Just accept the fact that that's the branding decision that you decided to make when you created those accounts. But yeah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on, and I'm glad we were able to make it work with the time difference and everything. So
me too. Thank you for waking up so early to have this conversation with me. I'm honored.
Well, the truth is, I woke up at 6:30. I started getting ready, and then, like I said, my oldest son came downstairs while I was making the coffee and everything, and he was like, I'm hungry. I'm like, okay. So anyways, it all worked out. But yeah, we'll have to, if you're ever in Nashville, which, you know, I don't know if you're ever going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, but if you are, let me know.
I'll let you know. Yes.
We'll go get some food. And if anything, we might run into each other at another conference at some point. So
yes. And if you're ever on this side of the ocean, then let me know.
I would love that. Oh my gosh.
Yes. That would be so fun.
I've been dying to go over there.
Have you ever been here?
I've been to Amsterdam, I've been to London, but that's it.
Okay, cool. Well, Amsterdam is close enough.
Or Germany. I've been to Germany.
Cool.
Went to Cologne, or Cologne.
Yeah.
For the last Photokina ever. I went to the last one. That was fun. But anyways,
That's cool.
Thanks Evan for coming on the show.
let's stop now. Let's just shut up now.
We're gonna be going on all these different tangents and like rabbit trails.
Yeah.
But
4 hours later in SpongeBob voice. Okay,
yes,
bye.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.